Oh boy, here we go again.
Yeah, we're in California now. Well, I'm not, but the tour is, and David is. This tour has crossed 4 time zones in 2 weeks, and my bedtimes keep getting later. So I feel like I've learned how to master jet lag without going anywhere, which is quite an accomplishment, I think.
Yeah, it's been really, really fun. What a tour. The music has been just so amazing. And everything's fresh. We're getting lots of cool stuff. Couldn't be
Yeah.
happier. I'm thrilled. It's coming to an end here, and it doesn't seem to be tapering off. It seems to be, continuing on an upward path. So it's like 4 more shows. Let's just see what heights they can hit.
Indeed. And I have every confidence that they will, especially as they're getting closer to home for most of the guys in the band. And Bill Kreuzman was back on Monday. We were very happy to see and sounding great. And the band responded appropriately. It was a very joyous show. And I'll tell you, so many things jump out at me. One thing I don't know if we've mentioned enough, but the drums and space sequences at these shows have been among the most varied and deepest and most out there and powerful things I've heard in a long time. You know, some people pick drums and space as their time for a break. It never was for me, but I think they've been more compelling than ever and really, really gone some deep, weird, free jazz kind of places. And I couldn't love it more.
I have noticed, though, in the past, a younger Mickey Hart was a lot more kinetic in his beam work back then. I have to say it's nice to see a man of his age behaving in a civilized manner with regard to that instrument and just bowing it gently, and because there were times.
Not not every night. Go,
Well,
go back and look. Go back and look at some of the shows in this tour. He's pounding the hell out of that thing sometimes.
most of it
Yeah,
does, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
He's,
You know,
he's
he loves to explore the varieties of sound that incredible monochord can produce, and all the overtones and the way it responds to being handled in different ways. So I have loved the beam work on this tour, and of course, all the Rhythm Devil segments have been thunderously great. So, and really wonderful to watch them here on the live stream, because you get the drummers from above and from the sides. Often they were not that visible at the shows because they were playing in fairly low light, and they were sort of partially obscured by their drum kits. So you really get to see a lot of the detail of what's going on there. And of course, O'Teal is a Rhythm Devil as well, so he's up there a bunch of the time, and it's really, really been thrilling.
We should mention that this is a free preview if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook Live. It's a free preview. You're going to see the first song of the set. Gary and I are here raving about the music because we've been having a really, really good time through this entire tour that began in the middle of August. So we're trying to persuade you, I guess, that it's worth buying the stream, because the music has been so amazing. And if you sign up for it now, you can watch the whole show. You have 48 hours to watch it as many times as you want, actually. If you're not convinced by the free sample of set one, you could stick around and come back later in about an hour and a half and watch the free sample of set two. Gary and I are going to do an interview between sets. We've been doing this thing called Dead Air and stuff. But please go to livedead.co and examine your options for live streaming in HD and in 4K, and also for many, many forms of audio downloads in a lot of different formats, and Nugs.net's streaming options, Dead and Company streaming, and more general Nugs.net library streaming options as well. LiveDead.co is where they would like you to take a look after you've enjoyed this free sample of the first song of set one.
That's right. And we got really wonderful feedback on our halftime show on Monday, which happened to feature the founder of Nugs.net, Brad Serling, who really gave us a lot of the history of the company, how it really came out of the Grateful Dead taping scene, how he was of the taping scene and wanted to find ways to kind of supercharge the whole music trading experience, and it resulted in this amazing thing called nugs.net, which has taken advantage of every technological leap forward to bring the state of the art to this amazing place that we're at right now, which includes these live streams and all this extraordinary availability of music. And in the case of the recordings of these shows, half an hour to an hour after the show ends, you can be downloading tonight's show and comparing it with your friends, and not going over anyone's tape list and saying, man, I'd really like to find that one, because there it is on your desktop, on your phone, wherever you want to get it. So we are pretty blessed to live in this modern age.
It's just what you just said, 35 years ago, you'd have had to know a guy and then go and see if he was willing to have you into his hotel room after the show to make a copy of it, or you might have to wait till the end of the tour to make a copy of the tape. Now you can have the damn thing with your morning coffee. How cool is that?
Right. Like one of your most precious friends back in the day was a guy with a double chamber Nakamichi dubbing deck, for example. That was that was pure gold in our world. and now we are all dubbing to our heart's desire. It's really fantastic.
It's pretty fabulous. And it's been, we really are having a great time doing these in between sets interviews. We've had a tremendous list of guests, and we have some fun stuff we're cooking up for the last few nights of the tour. Tonight we're going to spend some time with Denise Perron between sets. She's the drummer and singer of an all-female Grateful Dead tribute band called Brown Eyed Women that just played a Northeast tour and are going to be playing down in Florida. I guess it's time to go to work. Enjoy the show, everybody. See you at break time.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Well, Mississippi Half-Step Uptown Toodaloo, which spent a lot of its time in the Grateful Dead repertoire as a show opener, closes the first set because that's how Dead and Company rolls, as the kids say.
It was an interesting launch to Cumberland Blues before that, but a nice recovery. It settled in nicely. They began with Music Never Stopped, into Easy Answers, into Music Never Stopped. Roe Jimmy, Friend of the Devil, the aforesaid Cumberland Blues. Cassidy, a very nice Cassidy, and Mississippi Half Step to close. It's the Dead and Company in Chula Vista, California. Listen, before we go on, I want to bring our guest in because she wants to talk with us about the music that we just heard.
Well, but don't you want to talk about our friend Robin Sylvester first?
Let's take care of that first. One of the things we've been doing over the course of this trip has been asking people to make a contribution to help the wonderful Robin Sylvester, the bass player of Rat Dog for many, many years, and a fine musician, recording engineer with a tremendous resume. I personally have great experience of making records and performing with him many times. So this is a personal campaign of mine because I love the guy as both a musician and a friend. He's had long-term health problems. He's been on the kidney donor list for like 10 years. And he's had some recent health problems that have required him to have round-the-clock care. So I've been asking people to contribute money. We've raised more than $30,000 for him, but we need more than that. His friends who are managing his situation would love to see us get up to 100,000, but we'll take what we can get. You can go to paypal.me/truefunddonations. It's on your screen right now. To make a contribution of any amount to Robin would be hugely appreciated. Every cent that comes into that account is passed along to Robin Sylvester and will be for the foreseeable future. And I'll come back and remind you about this again in a day or two before we finish this tour. But let's get on with our thing tonight and welcome our guest. Now, I'm really, really happy to welcome Denise to our thing. She's a drummer and a vocalist. She's been playing with the Deadbeats in upstate New York. I met her through Roni Stanley a couple years ago. We played together a number of times and had a great time. And recently, Denise has been part of a fabulous new project, an all-female Grateful Dead tribute band called Brown Eyed Women. So please welcome Denise Perron to our conversation this evening. Hi, Denise.
Hello, David. Hello, Gary. Thanks for having me tonight.
Oh, it's great to have you. So let's talk about the music we just heard.
Wow, what a set. Music, easy answers, music. That was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Little funky jam there and easy answers, right? Before they went into the last verse. That was pretty funky town. That was good, yeah.
Yeah, that's what these guys do. They take it all the way apart and put it back together again in any number of different ways each time. So it's really that thing of not being quite the same every time and always being interesting.
Yeah, I love that. The placement, like you were talking about before, Gary, about that, I think you said it, the Mississippi half step usually being an opener, a closer, and then you had the music that's most of the times a closer opener.
Yeah, I love that. And I don't know if you've seen any other shows on the tour or heard recordings or checked the set list, but until tonight, Cumberland Blues was turning up, coming out of Drums in Space, and it made the song more improvisationally wild and unexpected in many ways. And tonight it moved back to the first set, but it kept that quality. When Jeff goes off on piano toward the end of the song, it just becomes a whole other thing. So I love what they're doing with some of these very familiar pieces and throwing in all these new touches.
Yeah, I was at Saratoga Performing Arts Center when they did the Cumberland out of the drum space, and I was like, wait, what? And so tonight, it's nice to see him being able to play with things. And, the band's evolved so much over the years. And, of course, playing with things is part of life, right? You have a little fun with stuff every once in a while. Try it out in a new spot.
Yes, indeed.
Indeed. All right, let's talk about Brown Eyed Women. This has been such a cool project, and you guys just had a tour and got a nice new gig to announce and some shows. So talk about it. Gary and I had a very small role in starting that ball rolling on Tales from the Golden Road.
You sure did. Thank you both so much. I know. It all came out of Tales, and so a female caller called in one day and asked if there were any women who played Grateful Dead, and David and I, as you mentioned earlier, had played together. Thank you, Roni Stanley, for introducing me to David, and so then I suppose you had already played with Joni as well, and you knew about Joni Batari down in Florida, so. You named us both, and then the power of Facebook, right? I was immediately friending Joni, and we had, connected in a way like, wow, another woman who plays Dead. This is so cool. I've played Grateful Dead a long time, and all alongside my brothers, which is great. But there's just something a little different about playing alongside my sisters. So anyway, I was talking with Joni and talking about playing together. And we were so excited. We immediately had a chemistry undeniable, and we could relate on what we'd been through and our love for the Grateful Dead and playing the Grateful Dead. So we talked about playing together, and then it was kind of like maybe we could put an all-girl tribute together, to the Grateful Dead. I had seen Zepparella sometime earlier. My friend Noelle Dottie was the front, the Robert Plant of that band, and it planted a seed in my head, and so I thought, how come there's not a Dead thing like that, And then I started to think about it, and I didn't really know any other players that were women who played Dead. So thanks to the show, you announced Joni. And then before you know it, Joni's wheels were things were happening. We were talking about other women who played Dead. And it was like, let's put this thing together, And before you know it, we had Jill Simmons from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Come along. She's just sings like a bird. Jill is just a wonderful asset to the front of the band and plays in the Cause in Pittsburgh. I should mention Joni plays in Spiral Light in the Stewart area, I suppose, down there on the East Coast in Florida, right? And then we had Caroline Kylo from the Boston area in Massachusetts. She plays keyboards and very much loves the Keith style of playing and has a beautiful voice. She does backup vocals and can find any part anywhere, knows it all. She studied the Donna parts and thankfully has, just a great ear to be able to come in and fill the space up so nicely, especially because I sing and Jill sings, so add another part there. It's just a beautiful, beautiful thing there. And Katie Moore, she also sings and sometimes lends some backup vocals, but she's our Bobby girl. Katie's been, studying the Bobby parts since she fell in love. I think Katie mentions it was a Lost Sailor, drum space, Saint of Circumstance in 1985. I think it was Richmond, that turned her world around, that made her want to study Bobby, and she's putting that to good use now. And so, Katie Moore's from Atlanta, Georgia, and she plays in Deep Blue Sun down there. Did I mention Caroline plays in Fenario in the Boston area? I'm trying to get all my facts in check here. Anyway, and then we have Dana Carroll. Dana's from Philly, but she's relocated to the South Jersey Shore, and she plays in the Love Light Band, and she is a tiny powerhouse on that bass guitar. Just really unbelievable. I'm 5'2", and I've got a few inches on her, and she just blows that bass out of the water. The pounding rhythms. It's such a phenomenal mix. I'm so fortunate. I feel very blessed to have met these women, and a little bit of stalking on Facebook, and I was able to see how people played, and it's just so very exciting. It's really fantastic. And Joni is, of course, emanating so many things with Jerry Garcia. Joni has the ability to lock into the tones, the feeling, emanates such a power from that guitar. Joni, it's just an amazing thing to watch Joni create on stage and have the ability to know from years and years of experience of seeing the Dead, for a very long time, Jerry Band, all of it for a very long time. And Joni's ability to, really hone in on the tones and the delicacies, if you will, of Jerry's playing is really something that just takes it over the top for us, because she's very dedicated, and I mean that every way possible. But she's, it's just amazing, the electric that comes out of the band together, and you really just I'm so fortunate to be a part of it.
You just came off of a successful 4-show run. Let's talk about the dates you got coming up this month down in Florida. Sorry,
sure thing. Yeah, we did. We just played a Northeast tour, which was so nice. Caroline from the Boston area and myself being from New York and Woodstock. We got to play for our home peeps, which was so nice after being together for a few years, taking some time due to COVID and not playing and then coming back to things. It's been, this waiting game of when we were going to get to play. So it was so nice for us to play to our hometown. But now we're going back to Florida. We're going to do a little run for Joni's peeps down there. So we do November 18th in Dunedin Brewery in Dunedin, Florida. And November 19th at the Funky Biscuit in Boca Raton, Florida. And then November 20th at Terra Firmata in Stewart, Florida. And November 21st at Buddha Live in Fort Myers, Florida. So that'll be a nice four-show run.
And next April?
That's right. We have big news. We are on the lineup to play Skull and Roses in Ventura in April 2022. Very awesome.
And presumably,
Very
if you're coming out to the West Coast to play that, you'll do a few other dates on the West Coast.
I do believe that's the plan. Yeah, we're put a couple things on either side, play. But that's an exciting opportunity. That's just, that's an honor.
A fun festival. Anyway, I interrupted Gary a minute ago.
Well, I was just going to say that I really admire the fact that, with a little assist from Tales from the Golden Road and the internet and Facebook and all that, you found each other from all these different parts of the country because, I've known a lot of wonderful women in music, and one of their problems, aside from being taken seriously in the boys club atmosphere, is also finding kindred spirits, other women to play with who share the same musical affinities and all that. So you did a really wonderful thing, and you have the best of both worlds because you each get to thrive in your own little scenes, and then you come together as brown-eyed women and do that. And it's hats off to you. That's all I can say.
Yeah, you're exactly right on that. There is a, local thing that we can all do in our own bands, and then we take that on the road, with our own energy and from our own hometowns, bringing it out to, the collective of brown-eyed women, which is just, it's very energetic. I as someone who has played in the guys club and the guy bands my whole life, and I love that. By the way, my brothers, I'm blessed to have them all, and the Deadbeats are so supportive and wonderful. Thank you guys. And I know that when I step on stage with brown-eyed women, I haven't had that experience of playing Dead alongside other women before, and it's wow. It's we have our own different energy. I mean, people have said that about us after they see us, that we put like a different spin on things, and there's just something about it that's fresh. And we're women singers, right? So we're going to sing it maybe an octave higher or something like that, or put the higher backup vocals on there. So that's also a new and fresh thing, I think, as well.
Yeah, indeed.
You should also mention your recent release of your own solo album and your own original material.
Sure. Yeah, I did record a CD just this past year, released it, and it's called The Songs in My Heart. It's on all the major streaming services. And I recorded that with my bandmate in the Deadbeats, Dan Gherkin, who's my co-producer. And he also, between he and I, we performed all the parts together. And we asked my bandmate, also Mike Johnson from the Deadbeats, to come along for a couple songs. And Dan created some great stuff in the studio. We were able to put together our skills, our talents, our love of just playing music together. And then we, created some really great stuff. had written a lot of the songs already, but then, spiced up a new part here and there. And then I added some new material. And it's an exciting release for me. I was able to check something off my bucket list that I wanted to do for some time now.
Great.
Nice.
But yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, Denise, one thing you mentioned, when we've talked to you before, and also in the band's bio and stuff, is that one thing that really means a lot to you is that we always talk about the fact that this music has become so multi-generational, and that, we have parents bringing kids and grandkids to shows. And you said you've had the experience of having young girls come to your show who are thinking about being musicians or just starting to learn instruments. And it's incredibly inspiring and empowering to them to see a band like Brown Eyed Women.
You are so right, Gary. I have been blessed, even just last week at Putnam Place in Saratoga Springs up here, when we played, there were just two little girls dancing around in the front, and they had the beat, they had it all going on, and they were raised in listening to the Dead. And I know that I have friends in that area, in the Albany area as well, who are coming with their child and then their grandchild to the shows. And it's just magical to watch this music carry on so much to generations of people, little girls, and little boys that just love the Grateful Dead. That's so thrilling to me. And to be able to be up there on stage and have little kids. I know what it felt like for me as a little kid when I saw the first woman. I was on a cruise ship. I think she was singing Linda Ronstadt. And I was just like, wow, there's a woman up there with all the guys. How cool is that? But that stuck with me. That stuck with me a long time. So if I could play any part in helping anybody play an instrument or do what they love to do and feel the confidence to go out there and sing and play, I feel great about that.
Wonderful.
Want to talk about Deadbeats a little more?
Sure. Say it again, David.
You've been doing the Deadbeats for a long time. You were really prepared for Brown Eyed Women because you've been playing this music for a good long time.
I sure have. Yeah. The Deadbeats, I joined in '93 because I was actually unable to go to the whole MSG run because of class. I had to go to class. And I was trying to graduate at that time. I'd done the musician thing for a while. And so on again, school, off again, the gigs, the whatever. So I was able to join the Deadbeats in '93 and came out of just going out because I wanted to see some Dead that night because I couldn't see the Grateful Dead. So yeah, that was magical. I had a wonderful meeting with the band and we connected, and before you know it, I was the drummer and singer. And I've certainly spent my time playing, maybe 3,500, I don't know, Dead shows, Grateful Dead oriented shows with the Deadbeats over the course of time. So yeah, I felt very ready for Brown Eyed Women. Brown Eyed Women thrills me beyond anything to be able to do this for people in new audiences alongside new players who love the Grateful Dead as much as I do. So that's a real thrill.
I'd like to know how drums became your instrument, because among the many women I know who play instruments, they've often said early in their musical education, they're most likely to get handed a violin or a flute. And playing drums in a rock and roll band is not generally something that young girls get steered towards. So how did you get that fever and follow it through?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know I was always rhythmic. Even just waiting for the laundry to be done and tapping to the beat on the washing machine or something, grabbing chopsticks while we were out to eat, or just always having that percussive side of me. I do play guitar, so I was also playing guitar at the time, but something about drums came very, very naturally for me. And, I think it was probably like Van Halen or something like that, or Rush, that really turned my head like, wow, that's so cool, and it took a few years before I was introduced to Grateful Dead drumming, but boy, I did get on that bus, and I'm still on that bus. I'm so happy. The rhythms that Mickey and Billy create have inspired me constantly since I've started to learn to play. And learning to play Grateful Dead drums is it's something different. You're playing color, and you're keeping the groove down, and and there's a freedom to explore, right? Unlike maybe playing in a pop band or something like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because I do love my pop music. I like all music. I think it's important to get a little flavor from everywhere, add all the spices to the mix, that kind of thing.
I interrupt you very quickly and remind people that what we're doing here, among other things, is offering a free preview of the Dead & Company live streams on nugs.net. And to encourage you, if you're watching one of these free previews on YouTube or on Facebook Live, that you go visit livedead.co, which is the front end of nugs.net's thing here, offering the library of Dead & Company recordings going back to 2016, the current tour in 4K and HD video and ridiculously good quality audio, I can tell you from having watched every show on the tour, and streaming services, and a partnership with SiriusXM, and all kinds of other cool shit that you need to find out about. And that's why they asked us to do this, to keep you entertained between sets and to direct your attention to livedead.co in hopes that you'll find something you want to buy there.
Right. And also before we finish up here, we should let you know, Denise, that the band members are filtering back on stage, and basically, we don't get to tell them when they can play again. They tell us when to stop by turning down the house lights. So this could end abruptly, but it's been such a pleasure to have you here. For those who may have tuned in late, we were talking to Denise Perrant from the wonderful all-female Grateful Dead tribute band Brown Eyed Women, and you should check them out. They're on Facebook and all over the place, and they have shows coming up maybe near you, so do check them out.
Yes, please do. Now we're just going to blather and bullshit for a little while until they tell us that the lights are gone now.
Sure thing.
What was your first
I did
show?
notice. My first show was at Pittsburgh Civic Arena in April of '89.
I remember that show. That was a good one.
Yeah, there were two. It just immediately, I understood. I got it. I was in love. Just, something about watching Jerry up there. He commands the stage, Bobby, adorable. And just also, with the cues and the connection that they had as brothers, seeing Brent, do his thing. That was just unbelievable. Phil, between the rhythm of the drums and the bass, just powerhouse. It's like pounding through a set. The Phil zone, there wasn't anything like it. It was just immediately what I knew I loved. And before you knew it, and after, learning some stuff from the volunteers / Zen tricksters early on, I just turned that into, I've joined the Deadbeats and now I'm doing this. And I haven't looked back. I'm still in the Deadbeats, and I just love that feeling from the first show to the every show.
There's something about the real-time experience of playing this music with people. There's an intimacy to it. Having played in bands that played conventional music and stuff and rehearsed and things like that when I was younger, as soon as I fell in with a bunch of people who wanted to do this, the rest of it it got a lot less interesting. This is there's more like everybody doing something together to make it bigger. It's not rehashing the same thing. It's creating something new every time. It's just very satisfying.
Yeah, and as someone who saw my first show in 1968, so 21 years before your first one, whenever I hear people tell of their first show experience, it feels just like mine again. It's like that continuity of people being amazed by seeing this thing and wanting to turn other people onto it is right. It still goes on today, through all these post-Dead bands as well, and through the Brown Eyed Women.
It's true. And they're coming out and loving it, and people are telling stories about their first show. Just a gentleman the other night, 76, his first show. He loves what we're doing, and we've gotten some emotional responses from people, very, very touched by our energy on things. I'm putting my woman's touch on things. There's no doubt about it. And right. I think that people are liking that, and it's exciting, and so that's a great thing. That's definitely a great thing.
I got to see you guys live in December of 2019 before, just a couple months before everything closed down. So I speak from personal direct experience that I recognize that the collective energy of what Brown Eyed Women is doing is the real deal. There's a real mind meld happening there. It's good.
Yeah.
It's great.
Indeed.
It's great. Yes.
It's great. Well,
excellent.
We're told all 6 band members are on stage, so let's just start thanking Denise for joining us, and once again say that Brown Eyed Women is a really wonderful thing that we so wholeheartedly endorse. I haven't gotten to see you live yet. I almost had a chance the other night. You were in my town, but I was otherwise occupied, but it'll happen soon. Great to meet you this way, and really look forward to hearing more from this band and hearing more of your story as you gather more fans and more Brown Eyed Women heads.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me. And really, Brown Eyed Women, thanks you for all the support. We're so excited to play, and thank you for boosting it and all the goodness you show.
Everybody wins.
That's right. Thanks, Denise.
Yeah. Well, now we just have to
Wonderful.
sit here and blather until they say lights out.
Not much, because they're probably in their huddle right now, so we may get that any second. A local note for San Diego. Mickey Hart's shirt is a Skull and Roses, and inside is a picture of San Diego resident Bill Walton back in his wild, long-haired, I think Portland Trailblazers days. So that's our fashion note for tonight. Nice work, Mickey, on that one.
And a shout out to the Electric Waste Band, a San Diego institution that Bill Walton sits in and plays percussion with from time to time. So if you're in San Diego, I think they play every Monday night. They probably play other places as well, other times. If you're killing time in San Diego, unless you're heading up immediately to LA to camp out for the 3 shows at the Hollywood Bowl, because man, that's going to be fun. Hollywood Bowl, Dodger Stadium. Where are they playing?
No, Hollywood Bowl to finish a great venue. I've seen
from my couch.
That's true. Well, yeah. If you don't see a diamond in the middle of it, it's not Dodger Stadium. Anyway, so shout out to Bill Walton. We love you, Big Red. Oh, lights. Showtime. Enjoy the second set,
everybody.